Hi friends, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, depending on if you have seen any of my other gather round videos. This is another gather round homeschool video, not sponsored or endorsed in any way. These are all my own opinions. This has been purchased with my own money, and I'm getting no kickback or anything like that. So another gather round video. All right, so I feel like some of my previous ones that were months ago were a little discombobulated to a degree, so I kind of want to like revisit. I've had a lot of interest, a lot of questions, and I kind of just said, well, you know what, I'm in the middle of prepping and getting my subsequent units for our year in order in my notebook. Why not just film it as I'm sitting down to put them in? So gather round, what is it? I'm going to start with that in case you were very new and overwhelmed as I was when I first heard of this curriculum, and it was like, how does it work? What is it? Why is everybody talking about it? It feels like. So gather round is a unit study approach. You've heard a lot of terms if you're new to homeschooling, or even if you're not, you know, Montessori, Charlotte Mason, like all types of styles of teaching and methodologies and whatnot. So this is a unit study. A unit study means I, as the teacher, this is my Oceans teacher guide. I have a teacher guide, and I have my children around my table, whether it's your kitchen table, whether it's your living room, whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you. And say, my first day, let me get to this, I'm going to be teaching Creatures of the Deep. Well, I'm teaching that to my 7th grader, my 5th grader, and my 1st grader. And while I go through all of my topics on Creatures of the Deep, everything is listed out. Everything is organized and beautiful and wonderful. And we go at it, and some days I will just read through, show pictures, use my hyperlinks that are on every unit here, and bring those up on my either my iPad or my phone and click them on when I project them. Other times we will read a section, watch a video, just to kind of give them a tangible visual to go along with it. Or sometimes we just read through and we do our work that correlates with it. So how it works, it's a unit study. Like I said, we all learn the same thing, but my middle schooler has a workbook that is his level and takes things deeper. My upper elementary child has a book that is more in-depth, obviously, than my 1st grader, but it's not as in-depth or intricate or independent per se. It still is pretty independent as my 7th grader. So they're all on their levels. This is literally K through 12. You can just, you know, continue digging deeper and learning. So that's a unit study. That's how it works. And so it can either be, if I'm teaching 5 days a week, we can get through 1 unit, which is 20 lessons in a month. Or we've even done 4 days a week, which would then put us at the 5 weeks to complete a unit. But I also know that I've read and seen from countless folks in the Gather Around Homeschool group, some people take 6 to 8 weeks, and that's totally fine. You do you and what works for you and your family. And then depending on the time frame and the timing of how long it takes you and what your requirements are for your state where you live, will dictate how many units you can get through. And it's not like a race. There's going to be 10 units per year with a total of 40 units in the rotation of this. So 10 units per year. So we're still in year 1. And there obviously, like I said, will be four years of that to total 40 units. And after you get through those 40 units, you will cycle back through again. But with that sounds kind of redundant, yes, but you figure my 6-year-old will be 10 and will be in the upper elementary realm and taking things much deeper than he is now. And will be reading independently and doing all sorts of things. And then my 7th grader will be in 11th grade and, you know, just much higher level of learning and doing other things with that. So that is kind of how it is. Year 2, the plan has been released, and you know the sequence of how things are going to flow. And the things to plan for. There's also the next question that I see a lot in the group is, well, do you have to follow the order? Where do I start? There is a recommendation that if you have a pre-reader, you know, a child that's learning phonics, that you start from the beginning of year 1 and you go sequentially, with the idea that they build upon each other with the phonics and with the reading and things, but I also have known many folks who pick and choose based on what their children are interested in. And that's completely up to you as your chief administrator of your homeschool. You can make those decisions on what you do, and you know, if it's not something that your kids are into right now, you can totally switch that around. Like, there's no rule breaking, or you're not going to mess up your kids learning with that. I don't believe. I have a few notes to try to help keep me on track, because I can chase rabbit trails and get on soapboxes. And again, what I'm showing you and how I do things are the way I do it and the way it works for me and my children. Don't let it stress you out. Don't take it of like comparison of like, oh, I need to do it this way, or oh, you don't need to do it this. Like, you do you, I'm gonna do me, because I've been there and compared myself to other people, and it will suck the ever-loving daylights out of you. Like, it will suck the joy, and it will become just a monotonous task, and it'll suck all the joy out. So don't do that. Just take tidbits if it works, and don't try to replicate or copy or anything. But if you see something I do that works for you, then go with it. I'm not here to be like, you have to do it this way. No, I don't do that. So how does this look realistically? So I'm going to just show you like what I would do. Again, like, I know I briefly hit it on that, but earlier. So what I would do and what that is reflected like in a couple different levels of this. I'm not going to show you page by page up close of this, because this is not my work. This is Rebecca's. I respect her tremendously for this tool that she's given us. And again, your curriculum is a tool. It is not your master. If your child is crying and screaming or you know, having a really bad day, close the book, go outside, go do something else, go read a book, go sit on the couch, go have some coffee. It's not worth risking those relationships over making them feel like, you know, you got to learn this today. We have to check this box today. Like, no, you don't want to quench that, that love of learning and that, inquisitive nature of kids. Like, you don't want to extinguish that, because you might not get it back if it's repetitive, of that. You don't want box checkers. You don't want puppets. You don't want children that are just doing it to do it, to check it, but not growing in their hearts, because I would rather not do any rigorous book work, but have the hearts of my children in the right place, growing and you know, loving Jesus and putting him at the forefront of everything that we do, than say, hey, we finished 50 worksheets today. Like, that's, worksheets are not the way to they don't always equate to learning. I'll say that. I've done many curriculums over the years. We have homeschooled from the beginning. I have a 7th grader, and there's been some that I've, you know, make the best decision that I can, and there are others, some that have, you know, worked pretty good. There are others that we have literally wanted to rip out of the pages and burn them, because it was just not a fit for us, and it was too rigorous, or we didn't want to we've never intended to replicate school here, because we learn everywhere we go, which is kind of why we are starting our new year with Africa versus oceans, because in the sequence of things, it's just the way I want to do it. We should have been doing oceans when we start on Monday, but we have a beach trip in August, and we decided as a family that we wanted to have this information the most fresh on our brains when we go, because we enrich with all sorts of things. We snorkel, we go to, well, it depends on what's open and what COVID-19 is looking like, as to how much we do, but we are always learning everywhere we go. We are always looking for things, and since we started Gather Round, my children are just alive and joyful and seeking those opportunities, and things they're applicable to real life. They're pertinent to what we see outside of our front door or where we travel to. And they are sharing that, because I've had multiple instances with things that, whatever it is that we're doing and interacting with whomever, because we interact with people on all different, you know, walks of life and everywhere we go. And they then take the things that we've learned in our homeschool. Hey, did you know that, say for instance, from North American birds with the blue jay, that their feathers are not actually blue? And people look at me like, what? And they say, and this is my, at the time, 5-year-old, yeah, it's light scattering. It's the way the light is refracted, and you know, this and this and this. And they are just like, well, I'm 65 years old and I never knew that. How did you learn that? And they're like, we learned it in our homeschool. And you know, just different little things, whatever it is. Or when we've done our continent studies of, did you know, different things about certain countries in Asia, or whatever it is, wherever it is that, you know, we're studying. And just those things or those moments, my kids have never done that. Any of the other curriculums that we've done, it's kind of like in one ear, out the other, and we don't hear from it again. But I feel like this is such a living and applicable and appropriate real world for us that it works for us. And I get it if you've tried it, or you're thinking about trying it, or you're on the fence and you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work for me. That's okay. There's no perfect curriculum. And again, it is a tool. It is not your master. Do not sacrifice your relationships with your kids over getting those 12 worksheets done that day, or whatever it is. So say day 1 of oceans, we would talk about creatures of the deep. I would go into the introduction. I would go into, you know, whatever it is, the science and these critters that we're learning this day, and break it up with videos. I'm really big on enriching with videos to just give them some kind of tangible visual until we can get to an aquarium or get to the beach to see it firsthand and touch it and breathe it in and like bring it to life for them. That's always been my goal with homeschool, is to, yes, I can teach you, but let me show you, or let them show me. Okay, we're here. We learned about this. And can you tell your daddy about this? Tell your grandma about this. Those types of things that they're gonna stick, and that's gonna then, well, I don't know. I don't know what this one looks like. Let's find out together. And I'm never too prideful to tell my children when I don't know something. I don't know, but you know what? I know how to find out. Let's go look it up together. Because that shows them that, you know, there's no way I know it all. I was never taught everything. I can't possibly teach them everything. I can use the tools that I feel like God has provided for me, and, you know, I'm trying to find the best thing for our family. And we work together and just keep building on that and learning together. So I also love how most of the later units, I know they're trying to go back and revise a few of the earlier units. There's a day at a glance for each lesson, each day. And it has all of the levels that are in there. So I don't have to be like, hold on, let me see your book. What is in there? Oh, okay. I can just look down, and everything that everyone is covering that day is right in front of me. And so that, like, their memory verses or whatever it is, you know, and it just helps with the flow. Okay, so I taught on these. So my early reader, and again, I'm not going to show you like flip through of the pages, because again, this is not my work. This is Rebecca's. So then I did want to compare and contrast to you between the 3 levels that I'm doing. I'm doing early reader, upper elementary, and middle school, just to show you the difference in the depth of even just the notebooking page. We start every single day of every lesson with a notebooking page, and it's so much fun. And when it is continent studies, that's where we do the flags, and we color the countries and the surrounding countries and locate landmarks of where's this sea, where's this ocean, where's this and that. So on this one, we talked about creatures of the deep. So they would pick one of the creatures that we talked about. This is this is early reader. So just a habitat, a diet, and an interesting fact. And for that age, I often have him draw it because he is still not writing fluently. And so then my upper elementary is going to do the same thing, choose one of the deep sea creatures that we talked about, and he's going to write about his appearance, diet, this is what it's about, the habitat, and an interesting fact. All right, so same thing for my middle schooler, appearance, diet, habitat, and interesting fact, but he's going to do what type of creature it is. Is it a, what are the terminology? Is it a fish, an isopod, whatever it is. Okay, well, what is its scientific name? We're talking like kingdom, kingdom, species, genus, you know, all of those things like in your biology, the way they're categorized, and then sources. I can say that since we've been doing middle school, they're getting them used to citing their sources and learning how to figure out where they're getting it from. We also are learning about what are good internet searches, what are safe internet searches, and what are good reference websites to get our information from, because we want to make sure it is factual, that it's true, like safe, and that we're not gonna like Google search something or kitty search something and see something that we can't unsee. So learning about those types of things. So then that's our notebooking page. Sometimes, depending on the day, I might let them have those while I am talking. Other times, if it's too distracting and they're too having a hard time focusing, I will hold on to all of their notebooks and then hand those pages out when I'm finished with my lecture portion. And it really just depends on the day. Some days we just push through. We don't do any videos or anything like that. We just talk about it and look at books. Other days we watch a video after every section. It really just depends on the day and what we're learning. Sometimes if it is a very hard topic, I try to break it up because it can be a lot to take in, but you do whatever you think. Some people stretch them out over a few days, which is why their units might take 6 to 8 weeks, but there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever works for you. So then we would then go to the next part, which is science, and a lot of these we do together. So it would be this day would be ocean water pressure, and they are making hypothesis, and we're talking about like the scientific method of how that is or how it goes and what it is. And then after that is their copy work and spelling, which is their Bible and language arts. So this is middle school compared to early reader. They're gonna copy their Bible verses, and they all have the same verse that they're working on, and then spelling words at the bottom. Trying not to get all these mixed up. And then the next part is create a sea creature. Did I get this out of order? No, I didn't. I'm sorry, ocean pollution with social studies. And then create a sea creature about just what's found in the deep. And that's all for that day. And then there's usually some type of a writing project each week. When we were doing like Europe and Asia, Europe, we did postcards or letters. They learned how to write letters, how to address envelopes and postcards and writing, and how we should, greetings and salutations and how addresses are written, and all of those things that I think are very important life skills to learn. But it's just, there is a flow, there is a sequence, you kind of get in your groove. There is a sense of predictability into, okay, they know every day there's going to be something with their Bible verse, and so they copy it for the first several days, and then the last day or two I'm dictating it and they write it, and we see how many they get right, how is their spelling, how is their punctuation and grammar and capitalization, all of those things, trying to just build upon. And then I have a little place I put index cards with our verse of the week. But I even have it here too where I can then read it, and they really like it. They're like, wait, I remember, and they like, jot it down. So just those little things, and I don't know, it's a beautiful curriculum to look at as well, but it is so content rich, and there are some days we chase rabbit trails, some days we don't. Some people loathe the idea of rabbit trails, and other people, it's just, we go with it, like whatever it looks like that day. I'm not like super uptight and rigorous. I kind of let my kids lead the way, and we kind of go with the flow as long as we still get our topics, our information covered, whatever that looks like. And then we also have math. They do all 3 different kinds of math. I have one that does math on a computer. I have one that has books that we do teaching textbooks, Life of Fred and Horizons. Like, that's just a few that we've evolved to what works for them. It's been kind of a process. They all have different learning styles. I would encourage you, if you don't already know, try to figure out your child's learning styles. You can Google that as well. I have a very visual learner. I have a kinesthetic learner, and then I probably have another kinesthetic but visual as well, and just in using those to their ability, like looking at those as strengths, not as challenges, and then making sure I hit ways of hitting all of their learning styles so that everyone learns the best that they can. I hope I covered everything that I have had asked of me. Sorry, they're in the other room. If there's something that I missed or something that you're confused about and you want more information on, comment below. I try to be really good about responding to my comments and helping, because I want this all to be a community to where we can all do this together and teach our children and grow and love, one another through this. and using this amazing curriculum from Rebecca I gather around Homeschool. And I will leave the link below to her website. Again, none of this is sponsored. There's nothing in this for me other than just sharing something that I value and believe in that has worked for our family. So that is all to say. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.